Okay, today we are going to be talking about two-step equations. Two-step equations. Okay, and two-step equations can be solved in, yeah, you guessed it, two steps. So we're going to solve this in two steps. We want to isolate our variable. In this case, our variable is m. So we want to get m all by itself. We're going to do that by using our inverse operations. Okay. Inverse operations. So the first thing we want to do is get this 9m by itself. So we need to get rid of this 14 right here. 14 needs to go. So we need to make sure it ends up on that other side. So we need to subtract 14 from this left side. And we know that what we do to one side, we, yes, that's right, do to the other. So 14 minus 14 is 0. We're left with just our 9m on the left side and negative 13 minus 14. Well, when we have two things that have the same sign like that, we know that we're just going to add them and keep that sign. So 13 plus 14 is 27, and we know this is going to be a negative 27. Now, we're left with 9m equals negative 27. Now, that's the same as 9 times m equals negative 27. So 9 times m, well, we know that operation is multiplication. So the inverse of multiplication is, yes, division. So we are going to divide by 9. And what we do to one side, we have to, yep, do to the other. So 9 divided by 9 is 1. We're left with just m on the left side. And 27 divided by 9 is 3. But in this case, it's a negative divided by a positive. And we know a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So this is going to be m equals negative 3. Let's move on to a second problem. We have negative 12 plus n over 2 minus 6. I'm sorry, negative 12 equals n over 2 minus 6. So we want to get this n over 2 by itself so that we can isolate n. Okay, we're going to isolate n. So we're going to get rid of this negative 6, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to add 6 because we know that negative 6 plus 6 is going to end up just being 0. What we do to one side, we have to, yep, do to the other. So negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6, right? So remember when we are adding and subtracting integers, we have a negative here and a positive here. So we're just going to subtract them, and we're going to keep the sign of whichever one has the bigger absolute value. Now remember, absolute value is whichever one is further from 0. In this case, that's negative 12, so we're going to have a negative 6. So we're left with the equation negative 6 equals n over 2. N over 2, n divided by 2. Remember, a fraction is just division. So the inverse of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 2. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So 2 times negative 6, well, a positive times a negative, as we know, is a negative. So we're going to have negative 12 equals n. And if you like it to look like this, then you should just flip it right around. N equals negative 12 and negative 12 equals n is the same thing. So that is how we solve two-step equations.